Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today we're going to talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and we're going to talk about friendship. All right, so I had something unusual happen today. Dungeons and Dragons is just so here's the hierarchy of Scott Garabay's life, and you kind of need to understand this to get all the way there. By the way, this is going to be an incredibly personal story, just about me and Dungeons and Dragons and friendship, right? So if like this is more about Scott Garibay. No, it is really, yeah. This is incredibly personal. If you don't want to hear a lot of stuff about Sky Garabay's personal life, uh, don't, as it interacts with friendship and Dungeons and Dragons, feel free to, pass this up. There's some amazing content out there. Um, go listen to Professor Dungeon Master, Seth Skorkowski, a bunch of other guys who are fantastic, have better channels than me. All right, okay, let's go forward. Okay, so, all right. So, a year ago, I lost another friend due to Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, all right. So, and it's happened many times. I have lost no less than 6 friends um, over Dungeons and Dragons. Now, what's the percentage of that? I would say that I've lost 3% of the people that I've played with due to. I've lost. Well, that's a good question. Not everybody I played D&D with was my friend. I've interacted with at least 200 people, right? And I've lost 6, right? So that's 3%. So I'm glad I did the math on that. That's not too outrageous. But I don't take losing friends lightly. So about a year ago, I lost a friend to Dungeons and Dragons. Here's how it went down. So I was running Dungeons and Dragons in a campaign, and everybody I was in there in that campaign was involved in this. Okay, one of the players, one of the Dragon Masters in that said, "Hey, I want to run a Dungeons and Dragons Mighty Morphin Power Rangers campaign," right? And invited me into that. So I went in. I played about 3 or 4 sessions, and then this player, um, you know, this Dragon Master who was in my campaign then ran Dungeons and Dragons Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, and I was a player in that game, right? And there got to this point um, where the NPCs were like, "Hey, you guys are dirt farmers, and you don't get to decide what happens, right? And now you have to put up with this thing that I'm going to say happens to you." And I'm like, "No, no, no, no! You can shut that noise down, man. I'm a Power Ranger. I'm not like some side character here. I'm literally the center of the story. You don't cut me off screen, right? Like." And then I was like, "Hey, pay attention. Um, the way you're running this is wrong," right? I said that's flat out to the Dungeon Master. And I said, "I'm going to take this action, and you could kill my character. That's within your purview, right? You want to use your NPC to kill me, fine. But you can't stop. You can't say that my character. That I can't. You can't control my character. You can control anything in this game but my character. But you can't control my character. You can kill my character. Go ahead and do it, right? Like, but that's what it's going to need to take for me not to take the action that I'm saying that my player character is taking." And he's like, "Well, that's going to ruin my story," And I'm like, "This ain't your story, dude, right?" And he's like, "That's it, you're out." He says, like, and he kicked me out of the game, right? Did not kill my character, just said, "You're out of the game," right? This is a big fracas, right? Like, and everybody in my D&D game is in his game, right? Well, at this point, this guy, he's a likable guy. Scott Garibay is not a likable guy. I'm not a likable person. I'm really not. I'm a very intense, adamant person. I'm super smart. I create a huge amount of content. A lot of great things about Scott Garibay, but being a likable super friend ain't one of them, right? It's just not me, right? And I know this. I have to manage it. I'm like, hey, is interacting with Scott Garibay worth more than not interacting with Scott Garibay? And a lot of people do the math on that and continue to interact with me. And that's one of the reasons why I don't change the way I am, right? And because the people I care about are still interacting with me, right? So, and so this person kicks me out of the game. But then, I don't know how he did it. Well, actually, I do know how he did it. I think he just said to everybody, "That's it, ice him out. Nobody, don't go, just don't contact him. Ghost him." That's exactly what happened. Every single person at the table ghosted me, right? Now, I'd had a friend there. Now, first of all, one of my friends just happened to not be at the table, right? And I'm friends with that person to this day. I don't know what they would have done if they had been at that table, right? But I like, so one, the guy who kicked me out of the table, we ain't friends now, right? We're not friends, right? Um, well, Scott Garibay has a lot of rivals. Frankly, I would say this guy is my enemy. I don't like him. I wouldn't take any actions to put any woe into his life, but I would. But man, if the dude was on fire, I don't know if I'd do a thing to stop it. I don't like him. I don't like him. Right? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. We would see, right? Like yeah, I don't like him. I was just gonna say it that way, right? So we are no longer friends, right? So then everybody ghosts me for 2 weeks, right? And when that 2 week and it was actually longer than that, but it didn't matter after that, right? So I had a friend in there. Now most of these people, I didn't have a deep relationship with them, right? We played Dungeons and Dragons together. They were nice people. I like them. They like me. I don't know if you want to call that a friendship, but there was one person in here who was my friend, right? And so 2 weeks later, I was like, "Hey, yo, you ghosted me for 2 weeks, right?" And I said, "You don't have, I texted you, and I contacted you, and you knew how bad that whole situation was. You never contacted me. We never talked, right? I think you listened to that dungeon master and ghosted me for 2 weeks. And I'll tell you right now, I don't put up with ghosting, right? You and I are done. We are no longer friends." I said, don't, you see me at a party, walk the other way. I don't want to hear from you again. I don't want to talk to you again. And I need you to understand, you and I are not friends. Right? Now, why did I say this? All right. Well, one thing, Scott Garabay's friendship ain't a small thing, right? Like, if you're like, "Hey, meet me in the park at midnight with a shovel," I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna really try to be there for you, right? Now, I have failed friends at times, but I also have really showed up. I've really invested a lot in friends. And if you're my friend, I'm willing to invest for you, right? I'm willing to sacrifice for you, right? And so I don't let relationships just hang, right? And the reason why is my friendship can get called in like a shit, right? And that's why I don't want you to have that shit if we're not friends, right? Because if we're friends, you can count on me, right? You can call me and say, "Hey, I need you to listen. I need you to put up. I need you to sacrifice," whatever it is, right? But if we ain't friends, I want you to know you ain't got that shit, man. And so Scott Garabay's friendship is valuable. So I text him and I'm like, "We're done. We're done." And I ain't talked to that person in a full year, right? Well, Dungeons and Dragons, right? So I go to this Dungeons and Dragons campaign, and sure enough, it gets me back into the FLGS. This specific FLGS. I've been at other FLGSs, been going to other FLGSs. Because there were so many people there that I had bad blood with, right? So I go back to this FLGS, right? And I'm doing my thing. And when I get my thing done, this person comes up, this person that I know for 10 years that I was like, "We're no longer friends." And he said, "Hey, listen, Scott." I'm like, okay. He's like, "I was really busy." And I was like, "Yeah, I know you were busy, right? I know that's why you didn't text me back or call me or care that I've been kicked out of the game and that everybody there stopped talking to me immediately, including you, right? I know I know you were busy with work, right? Guess what? I'm busy with life, and I've deprioritized our friendship, and you and I aren't friends. I thought I made that clear." And he's like, "Well, here's the thing." And I'm like, I wonder what the thing is going to be. Right? And he says, "I want to apologize." And I'm like, "Okay." He's like, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for ghosting." That was enough, right? Like, that was a classy move. He stepped up. He apologized. He was saying, because the reality is this wasn't going to get fixed on my end. I had nothing to apologize, and I did not need to. I didn't need to fix the friendship. He did, right? And so he came back and he fixed it. It was a very classy move, and I was very fortunate. And so I'm very glad to have, it's not completely the same, but the prodigal son is returned. The prodigal friend has returned, right? And I needed that. I needed that apology, right? Like to say, "Hey, I did you wrong," right? But also, I run hot, man. My grudges run deep, but they don't run deeper than an apology. And I really appreciate that he apologized. Very classy move, and I was very fortunate to receive his to receive it. It's his apology. So one, and my takeaways from this is, I ain't always a bad guy. I'm like you guys. A lot of us like to beat ourselves up, right? And I have a lot. I've lost easily 6 friends over Dungeons and Dragons, right? Relationships that are never going to be mended. I thought, right? And there's one. I know this guy ain't never going to come back and apologize, but that's what it takes. That's what it takes to fix this stuff. Because I don't, I will apologize when I'm wrong, right? But but on this one, I wasn't wrong. Ghosting is horrible. It is abominable, right? And so I really appreciated that things got fixed. And so my point is, Dungeons and Dragons. I feel like Dungeons and Dragons is a razor's edge. It can cut a friendship in half quickly. Quickly. I've seen it happen many times. I've been playing Dungeons and Dragons since 1982, right? And I've been in proximity since 1979, and I was born before. I was born in 1970, so I've seen every single day of Dungeons and Dragons life, right? And I can tell you, it can sever friendships fast, fast. Don't be surprised, and don't think you're at fault if you're not, right? And wait for the apology if you are. So I really feel bad. I do want to say to that guy, thank you very much for doing the right thing. I really appreciate it. It means a lot to me. Every single word you just heard is my humble opinion. The important part is when I get to hear your humble opinion. When you get in the comments and send your traffic, please consider liking, subscribing, and have a fetch millennium.